We ready? All right. In that case, I would like to call this meeting to order of the Town Board of the Town of Northeast. Today is March 10th, 2022. It is 7 p.m. I would like to start by asking you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tilly, could you conduct a roll call?
Yes. Supervisor Cannon?
Here.
Councilman Fidele?
Here.
Councilman Midwood?
Here.
Councilwoman Morrison? Here. Councilman Cooper?
Here. Okay. The board has received an agenda for the evening. I would like to amend the agenda to remove item 7 regarding the bids for the highway garage. With that amendment, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Lana, seconded by Ralph Fidele. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you all. And welcome. Welcome to almost spring. Almost underway. Anyway, I want to start by, I don't usually comment on the world at large. We usually stay really right home here in Northeast, but it is hard not to be aware of the fact that there's war going on, and it's a very troubling thing for many people to see a country. I've actually been to Ukraine. My sister worked there for 4 years, and I went to visit her. I was there, and I was in Crimea. And it's just unbelievable to me to think that a place that I was in, I don't know, 6-7 years ago is at war. Anyway, it's sad and horrendous. There is going to be an event on Saturday up at the Rhee Institute up on Boston Corners Road, which is raising money for humanitarian supplies to the victims of this war from 12 to 3. At the Rhee Institute, and that's the place that Henry Klimowitz has. And anyone who's interested in getting more information, I have information about that. We also want to just comment on we've often started our meetings by talking about COVID cases. It's a happy development that they are very, very significantly down. The CDC now categorizes counties across the country by the degree to which they are experiencing hospitalizations and cases. And they have 3 levels, high, medium, and low. And I'm really happy to say that Dutchess County is in the low category. That has enabled us to reopen Town Hall. And as you all know, we have now a policy that the door is open and that masks are optional. Masks are welcome, but they're optional. Also want to mention, as I referenced in the amendment to the agenda, that we will have a special meeting of the town board at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, the 16th, for the purpose of discussing the bids we've received for the highway garage. That'll be the only item on that agenda. Last time when we met, we talked about, we received approval from the board to submit an application to Hudson River Housing for one of their mini grants for work on affordable housing. That application was submitted to Hudson River Housing, and we are waiting for the results of that application. We hope that will be successful. If it is, I will move forward to form a small steering committee to guide our work over the next few months. I certainly want to keep the project focused and with a beginning and an end. And, we'll keep our fingers crossed for good news from Hudson River Housing. There has been a great deal of work done by the Climate Smart Task Force, Climate Smart Communities Task Force. As you all know, this is a program which was started by New York State and which many, many communities across the state are involved in. And we are getting ready to submit to submit for bronze. And what that means is we registered as a Climate Smart community. This is the easy thing. We passed a resolution here at the town board. A lot to get to a bronze level of certification, to be certified, much less a gold or a silver. There's a great deal of work that has to be done, and we have been fortunate to have had a task force, which has put in so many hours, and I think you would all be shocked if you knew how many hours of work have been put in for free by our Climate Smart Task Force. Anyway, there are 3 different things which I want to mention that they have been working on that I particularly want to mention tonight, actually 4. First is that the task force conducted a Climate Smart Community Survey. We had help from Carissa Whitehead and Tom Parrott, and Rich Stalzer spent a great deal of time working on that. Copies of this will be available on the website. I will be sending copies of this to each of the town board members. But I wanted just to highlight a couple of things which came out from the results of the survey. There were 115 surveys that were collected, 22% from the village and 61% from the town. Demographics-wise, we got many more from people who were 50 and above than we did from 18-year-olds. We're going to see what we can do about that. We just have to reach out a little bit harder. In terms of which environmental issues people were concerned about, the impact on future generations was the highest, followed, I'm just giving you the top 5 or 6, followed by water pollution, storm damage, increased greenhouse gas emissions, and biodiversity loss. With regards to which issue concerns you the most, greenhouse gas emissions was still at the top, followed by extreme weather. And in terms of what actions would you like to see the town take, the top 3 were to help residents and businesses convert to solar power and heat pumps. The second was to compost, recycle food scraps and plant waste. And the third was to add electric vehicle chargers. A fourth is one that we've talked about, which is to find a way to reduce road salt. And the 5th is one of my favorites and a pet peeve of mine, which is to bury utility lines. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, but sometimes if you drive through the village and you see this forest of poles and wires and think how much greater it would be if we didn't have those. I wanted to mention, following that, if you'll just bear with me, that one of the actions which the Climate Smart program is engaged on and which the town passed a resolution to embark on is an education and engagement program. And these will focus on emergency preparedness and response, home efficiency, and wetlands and watershed. Those are issues which we will be talking about. Our first action was really to figure out what could the town do. And this, of course, will also include the village because we are doing these in parallel. We're not doing it for the village, but the village has a program of its own that is moving in sync with us. And then the second and bigger part of this is to find ways to reach out to the community and to help educate people on things that they can do which will help prevent damages from climate change and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So we'll be talking about that as we go forward. Second big thing that the group has done is a report on greenhouse gas emissions. We have done this with the help of a company called First Environment, and we have a very engaged crew of people who have worked on this, particularly Kathy Chow and Andrew Stamen, and from the village, Lori Kerr. And they have compiled a great deal of information as to our greenhouse gas emissions, and it's very granular. This is down to particular vehicles, particular equipment at the town garage. How much electricity is produced by this building? How much electricity is produced by the salt shed? It's really very granular. And I'm not going to, this is a 33-page report, which I will not read to you tonight. But I would like to read a couple of pieces from the executive summary, and then we'll talk about this piece of paper that is on your desk. The greenhouse gas inventory assessed emissions from 7 greenhouse gases: carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, hydrofluorocarbons, perfluorocarbons, sulfur hexafluoride, nitrogen trifluoride. Conducting the greenhouse gas inventory demonstrates the town's recognition of its relationship to both the local and global environment. It allows the town to better understand and take responsibility for its activities and their climate impacts. Accordingly, the inventory provides a foundation and starting point for the town's efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from its activities and to demonstrate environmental stewardship. What I have, and this will also be sent to the town board, and this is at the moment a draft, but it will become a final document very soon, and when it does, it will be available on the town's website. You have a one-page from the report in front of you with a big orange ball at the top of it, and that is the really amazing result of the work that has been done, which is the discovery that of all of the greenhouse gas emissions that are emitted by town activities, 93%, the vast bulk of those, potentially come from the closed landfill. Methane gas is emitted by that landfill, and that's what those white pipes that you see on landfills are for, is to vent gases that are produced from the composting, basically, of things that were put in there decades ago, but which continue to emit gases. When we move forward with the climate action plan, one of the activities which we will undertake will be to actually measure that. This was calculated on the basis of a formula, which is how many years was it in action, how many residents were there in the town, and it's a formula for how many pounds of waste are typically generated by a person, in a particular year. So it's a very interesting document. When it is finalized, it'll be available on the website, and I know we're all going to look forward to digging into it. Yes, Ralph?
Chris, do you know, as time goes by, will those emissions go down?
Yes.
Because...
Yes, they will. And it's been closed for a while, and it was one of the questions that I asked. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's very important that we actually get a measurement of how much is coming out, because it's possible that it's much less, in which case that contribution to greenhouse gas emissions will be less. Recycling at Town Hall. This is something that Tilly is going to be helping with, but we are going to, at Town Hall and at the Highway Garage, make sure that we have recycling containers. One of the things that was news to me was to find out that clean paper was actually something that can be recycled. So we will be collecting that and recycling that. And then last but not least, there is a bicycling and walking math and master plan, which has been worked on by Tom Paddock and Andrew Stamen. It is still in a draft form, but I've shared with you one of the pages from it, and one of the goals for that is to encourage people to walk and to use bicycles to get around. And in order to do that, we have prioritized roads in our community which are safe and appropriate for bicycles. So the focus of that is going to be mostly on the eastern side of Route 22, certainly not on Route 22, but this will also be distributed to the board, and when it is finalized, before it is finalized, it will also be sent, and this is an important aspect, it will be sent to the planning board and the ZBA for their, and to the zoning review committee for their input, and I know we'll look forward to that. Okay, I'm sorry for that long introduction. We'll move on then to reports. The Village of Millington Police Report was received and has been distributed to the board. I think it's already on the website, the February report. Bob, for the highway.
So I have an agreement for the expenditure of highway monies for the board to consider. I'm looking to have section 1 approved tonight, general repairs, the sum of $225,000. This is for blacktop, stone, gravel, coal patch, oil for oil and stone, equipment rental.
Okay, this is what is known as the 284 agreement?
Yes,
Right. And it's something we do every year.
every year, most of the time, 2 or 3 times a year.
Right. And you bring it to the board, and basically it's a report which is submitted, I think, to the state?
One copy goes to Robert Balkine, the county commissioner. The
Yep.
town clerk keeps the other copy.
Okay, all right. And the amount of $225,000,
Yes.
can you give us a sense, is that more or less in line with recent years, or is it dramatically larger or less?
That's pretty much in line with recent years.
Okay,
Hasn't changed an awful lot.
great. Does anybody on the board have questions about the 284 agreement?
I just have
Yep.
a quick comment, Bob. You arrived at this total, is this based on the estimates from the past year?
It's I do a proposed budget each year, and that's where I add up all the different items, blacktop, gravel, and everything. And then I submit that proposed budget, and that total dollar amount is what the town board approved.
Okay.
So that's the budget line for general repairs for 2022.
Okay. So is it a number that you gained from 2021, or does it change? Is it?
It changes a little bit, but it's very close to 2021.
Thanks, sir.
Sure.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the 284 agreement. Could I have a motion to approve for Bob to submit the 284
Yes.
agreement?
Second.
Motion by Ralph, seconded by Griff. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anything good?
Everything's good.
Well, what about Saturday?
Might be a little messy.
What are you hearing?
Well, we're right on the line, like 3 to 6, 8 to 12.
Oh, now Lorna's gonna be happy, because she told me it was gonna be 8. Yeah, okay, well, this is what March is dishing out, when we thought, isn't daylight savings this weekend?
Yes.
And some,
Go figure. We're gonna have a white daylight savings.
But it's gonna be in the 50s all next week.
I know. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, thank you, Bob. Our assessor, Catherine.
You.
If you want to just sit at the end, then the screen can see you a little bit better.
Okay, so the first thing I have is I emailed you all a consent judgment of a settlement that I prepared, or has been prepared for a certiorari case that we finally settled. I just wanted you all to take a look at it. Our attorney just asked me to present it, ask for your agreement on the terms of the settlement. It's for the Silver Mountain Hay certiorari case, and authorize him to sign the judgment on behalf of the town. We worked on this. It was one of those cases where there really wasn't much to gain by the petitioner, but it was a kind of principle kind of lawsuit, so we came to an agreement. There's basically going to be no refund from the town, but he got the number he was looking for, so.
Okay,
Win-win, I guess.
I think that sounds great. Sounds good for everybody. Do you want us to approve these individually, one by one?
It's just the one.
Oh, just that one.
Approve terms of settlement and authorize Ian to sign. We do that at the same time.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the terms of the settlement with
Authorize Ian to sign.
with the petitioner was
Silver Mountain Hay.
with Silver Mountain Hay, and to authorize Ian to sign it on our behalf. So moved.
Second.
Motion by John Midwood, second by Lana. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
And then later, in executive session, we'll discuss some other litigation that we have.
Okay,
The only other topic I want to just explore a little bit tonight, as I brought up last month, the fact that market values in town have been increasing significantly. I've been saying it a lot, so I'm sure it's not the first time you've heard it. But I want to get into a little bit more detail, that I have some information from the state to present. We are still in preliminary numbers. I haven't made any final decisions, but I can tell you where we stand and what I think is going to happen. So the state provides me with some information to help me get started. They look at residential, vacant, and commercial properties separately and determine how those different properties are increasing in value. If they're the same for the whole town, or if they happen differently. So they look at 3 different ways. For the residential, they look at the county, and they break us up into little sections. So as a smaller town, we certainly don't have enough sales usually to be able to statistically give any real information. So they focus in with Pine Plains, Amelia, Stanford, and Washington. And that's been happening pretty much for years and years and years. There's the layout. And the interesting thing is sometimes you'll see Poughkeepsie moving very differently than we are in the country. But the interesting thing is on this map that we have, everyone is about in the 12 to 16 range % increase this year. So it's very consistent for the whole county. So that's good news. That we're not moving very differently, that we're not going to be no value be pushed onto us from other towns or areas of the county. So just wanted to show that. So again, our region, our neighborhood that they call it, is pegged at 14 as of right now. They're actually pre-preliminary numbers, so nothing has changed, so I don't expect it to change. Although this area, the northwest section of Dutchess County, was also at 14, and it's now been bumped up to 16 after further analysis. So there's still a chance that they might bump us up further. Then they also do vacant and commercial, but they do those more regionally, because again, there's not enough vacant sales just in Dutchess County to statistically give some information. So they kind of lump us in with Orange, Putnam, and Sullivan. And you see the whole state's kind of lumped in chunks. For vacant properties, they have us pegged at 12% in this region.
So that means that 12% of the properties in our region, not just Dutchess County, but in our region,
Yes, in our whole region, they've
More
that vacant
on
properties
average.
increased an average of 12%.
12% of properties are vacant.
No,
No,
the value increases from last year
Okay.
by 12%.
which is pretty big for vacants. I mean, at least as long as I've been here, vacant values have been pretty steady. In fact, since I did my reassessment in 2011, we haven't had a change in vacant land values until last year. So
Oh, okay, I got
This
it.
is a huge
Raw land,
raw land.
raw land, okay.
The
Now I,
agricultural, all that's kind of lumped in
Yeah.
together, as opposed to residential or commercial property. And also commercial, they lump us in the same kind of region. So, the interesting thing though is about that is there's a little bit more leeway because I will say we are very close to the next region, which is Columbia and Capital District, they call it. And so they're only pegged at 4%. So it's up to me to determine, are we at 12? Are we closer to 4? Where are we? So this is really just a guide to get me started and to do my own analysis on what I'm seeing in our area. So I have that, and that's what they provide. And I'll also have, and I didn't make copies of any of this because it is still very preliminary, so I didn't want to make copies and put it out there in case things change. But I do have it in my office, and anyone is welcome to take a look at it and talk to me, and I can explain in more detail what it's about until it's finalized.
when would it be, when do you expect it to be
Oh, by next
finalized?
month, yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to get some dates in my hopes for
Yep.
when things will be done. I also have with me all sales that have occurred. And I should backtrack a second. When I'm talking about in the last year, we're always a year behind in assessment words. So I'm looking at sales that have happened from July 1st of 2020 till June 30th of 2021. So we're kind of looking backwards.
So you're really looking at COVID sales?
We really are, yes.
Yeah.
So that's part of my analysis is, as we've been thinking, is this just the COVID bump? Are we going to be selling down? The good news is that I now also have almost a whole year after that I've been seeing sales coming in, and I can determine whether or not everything's going way back down after this, and it's not really. So I'm really comfortable with these numbers so far. What I have is all those sales in that time period. And so usually in a typical year, we have maybe a page. There's 3 full pages of sales. So not only are there significant numbers in these sales, we have a lot of sales, which is good news. Again, more sales, more analysis, more statistical significance to them. And also I have commercial and vacant land sales. So this I can make available to anyone that wants to look at that. These are, since they were from a year past, they are all finalized and official. So I can make that available if anybody wants to do a little statistical analysis as well. And finally, the last piece I have from the state is they analyze my entire assessment roll, comparing my last year's values to what they're seeing in the market now. And they also separate it by residential, vacant, and commercial classes. But on average, they've pegged my last year's assessment roll at only 85% of what the real value is this year. So that tells me I should be going up 15% overall to get to 100%, which is our goal, to stay at 100% of market value. So
Right.
that's what they told me. So as I said, with the vacant at least, we know that being on the border, I can't necessarily say 12 is right, I can't say 4 is right, but in my own analysis, I've gone through it, we're looking at 7% on vacant. So that's good news, we're not as crazy as that is. That's twofold, again, because we're really bordering other parts that are less, have had less increases. But also last year, as I mentioned, I implemented some land changes that I had been working on over a few years of analysis. And I was going to implement in 2020, and then we kind of pulled back when everything was shutting down in March of 2020. So we implemented them last year. So I already, I think, captured some of that value increase that had been happening. So I think at 7%, I'm comfortable that we're going to be reaching our goal of 100% value in the vacant class. Again, this is all going to be reviewed and approved by the state, but I'm hoping that's going to, and likewise, commercial, is going to be moving at 7%. So not as crazy as residential. Residential, what I'm looking at is 12%. So again, they're telling me 14, 15. My analysis for all these sales that I've seen, and again, we have a good amount of them, so I'm comfortable to say that we don't have to reach that higher number. We can go in at 12 and still reach our goal of staying at 100% market value. So hopefully that's not great.
No.
I was hoping it'd be single digits, but it is what it is. But again, as we also talked last month, and I think everyone's getting more clear about this, assessments and taxes don't mean things are going to increase the same amount. And the Department of Tax and Finance put out this great pamphlet. I know I've seen it floating around here before, but I want to make sure you all had a copy, and I'll leave some here for the audience. It's a little handout that breaks down what can happen if a small increase and tax levies, having different things happen. Assessments going up, staying the same, going down, versus tax levies going up, staying the same, going down. And so you can end up having more higher assessments, but less taxes. End up having less assessments, but higher taxes. And this kind of gives an idea of how that works. So people can understand that it's not hand in hand. It's not going to happen. So all these crazy numbers, it's scary. It's a big number. But if everyone is increasing at 12%, then everyone's still in the same boat.
Right, and everyone's taxes essentially, in theory, would essentially go up by the amount that the town needs to set its budget at.
Right, it's all going to be based on the towns, the counties, the school district
Right.
budgets, and your portion is just your portion. And again, if that increases 12% and the neighbors increases 12%, then you're increasing the same amount and you're going to end
Right.
up voting the same.
And if the town, the county, the school, and so on all had 0% increases, property taxes would be zero, despite a dramatic increase in the valuation of your
Absolutely.
house.
And the pamphlet has one
Yeah.
of those examples, so I think
Yeah.
it's very good to take a look at.
I mean, this is tough stuff to explain to people because it is complicated,
It is.
but this is very helpful.
So hopefully that helps make sense. And
Yeah.
you see that I'm working my best to get us the best outcome with the least fear, you should say.
Yeah.
So again, tentative roll, all my official tentative numbers will be out on May 1st. However, as I did last year, when I do my mailing, let everybody get their new value, I shot for April 15th of last year, and that's when we got it out. I'm going to shoot for at least that, or maybe sooner. I would like to have it out a little sooner. That gives people plenty of time, 6 weeks, to come, talk to me, listen, understand what's going on before Grievance Day, which is at the end of May. So we're going to work on that. And then by then, I will certainly have all the numbers reviewed and approved by the state. And once that happens, at the next meeting, we can have a final report for you.
Okay. Great. Thank you. I guess thank you. But that's a very full and helpful report.
Thank you, everyone.
Tilly, you've sent reports to the board for which departments? Building?
Building, the zoning, the planning,
Right.
the dog,
The dog?
yeah,
Yeah.
and the town clerk's office. Yeah.
Right.
You should have all gotten those.
Okay. Great.
But
We are, yes, I know. We have a special event happening today, which was we're going to have a report from Chris Virtuoso, who is Deputy Town Clerk for Tax Collections and who has been working with Tilly very hard on tax collections up to date. So we want to hear from you what you've been up to.
Hello, and thanks for having me. So I'll start out, the warrant we received from the county was to collect $5,197,645.71. That was the total tax roll. To date, we have collected $4,284,992. $331.26. That represents about 82% of the total roll. And it's interesting to note that it was a severe decline right after the 28th of February. I think we've only received like 2 or 3 since then. And they're coming in, but they're going to dribble in, I
The
think.
28th of February being the due date without penalty.
Without penalty.
Right.
That represents a total of 1,544 parcels that have been paid for. There are 262 still outstanding. And the total dollar amount outstanding is $913,313.85. However, I think to date, the town has been paid off, right? All of our bills to the town have been paid, and now we're working on the county checks going out.
Right.
And we sent them $1 million already.
And the fire district.
That's paid.
Yeah. Right. Great.
Very good.
Well, thank you, Chris, for your work. We appreciate it.
Chris, do you know last year's figures in terms of
I don't,
what percentage was?
as I was sitting here, I was thinking of that,
Okay.
and I don't have that. We may be able to dig that out somehow.
I had heard it was in the 80s.
Oh, it's similar.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we sent it in June back to them, it was in the 80s.
Yeah, it would be interesting just to, in the future, to keep track of what percentage we get by the penalty date,
Right.
and what percentage we get by, what's the last day for paying with a penalty?
With the penalty, it's March, April, and May, and they go up 1% each month.
Right.
So May, by the end of May, then we turn everything back to the county and they chase
Yeah,
people
yeah.
for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
Yes.
So, yeah, but we can keep track of all of that
Yeah.
going forward.
okay.
All right.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep. Good night. Okay, we are now on to town board committee reports. There are no reports for personnel, recreation, or police services. However, we're going to make up for it with building and grounds. First of all, in terms of the building, one of my goals has been to improve the efficiency of town hall. I don't think we want to go crazy with this building because it's a very old building and it is really not a building that was built to be a town hall, and it's certainly not ideal for a town hall for the future. But it is not energy efficient, and we have some good news, which is that we have a grant has been made because of the activities of our Climate Smart Task Force. We have received a grant which we can apply to increasing the energy efficiency of this building. And one real clear, obvious goal is to make all of the windows in this room double pane, energy efficient windows. And we've already gotten one quote on, that's basically the windows at that end of the room, which need to have that done.
So we got a grant for that.
So we have some money that we can spend on that, and I will keep you posted, but we're going to move forward with that. The next item, I'm turning it over to Councilman Midwood to talk about ways that we can make our meetings better accessible, both in person and virtually, to a larger audience.
Right. So one of the goals I've been working on, and I've been working with Meg Winkler on this as well, is making our board meetings a more virtual board meeting where folks watching at home can participate and make public comments in the same manner as someone coming in person to the board meeting. And we can do that through a piece of equipment called a Meeting Owl Pro. And this is what the device looks like. So it's a camera and has a 360-degree camera on top, and also a microphone and speaker. So on the first page of the handout I gave to the board, you see that screen there. On the top band, there's a 360-degree camera. So folks can access this via Zoom. They can be able to see the whole board and the audience on that top band. And then the speaker has AI that whoever is talking, it'll point a camera towards them, and on like for example, a Zoom meeting, you would see them speaking, up to 3 people speaking at a time. You could see on the Zoom meeting, and we could have this displayed so the town board could monitor it as well. And this setup, the town of Ankrum, our neighbors in Ankrum, use this, and they've had great success with it. On some of their meetings, on their high attendance meetings, they've had up to 70 people signed in attending this virtual board meeting, and about 20 in person. So it's more people are even signing on virtually than coming to town hall. And this would give folks watching at home. So we would need someone to not kind of be the host of the meeting on a laptop, and if folks want to do it on a public comment, we could recognize them, unmute them, and then they could talk, and it would come right out through the speaker. And when we as a town board and folks in town hall could see them on a screen, potentially on that wall there. We could work out the logistics of it, but
Does it record?
it records. And we would be able to put these recordings on the town website and Facebook page.
That's easy functionality.
Yeah.
Transfer.
Yeah. I was hoping we could get authorization to purchase this. It is, the Meeting Owl Pro is $9.99. Something I think would benefit the town by having a hybrid meeting and allowing everyone to contribute that are both here and at home, watching the videos. So I'll open it up to any questions.
I should mention that you, John, were the person who researched and found us the camera, which has enabled us to take our first baby step towards broadcasting and recording our meetings so that people can view them on Facebook.
Yeah.
This would enable us to also to record it, but as you said, to have people who are attending virtually part of the recording. So it sounds like a great solution.
Right.
This room is a difficult room to do this.
Yeah.
Because of the unusual layout of our board table, which is different from every other town hall.
In these pictures here, you see Ankrum does it with a tripod, but with this table, it might be good simply to put this device at the end of the table. And they could see the town board, could see the audience, and when folks are participating virtually, the audio would come out of the device.
You mentioned we could see them too.
We would have a monitor set up somewhere, maybe on the wall here, or kind of figure out the exact logistics of it, but we would be able to see them too.
Okay.
So during public comment, we could, look at the screen and see who's talking and have like a Zoom camera look on them.
Griff, we own a screen. It is actually right behind me underneath this table.
Next question.
Here we are, right on the screen, and Ankrum's technology committee, who Meg Winkler and I met with, they volunteered to help us set it up, the first time, just to help out with that.
Numbers go up, either their, lack of a better word, their viewership go up. But what is our average attendance, for example? I'm just curious.
I mean, right now, it looks like we have 7 or 8 folks on Zoom.
Do you think that would encourage folks to join?
I think it would. I think it would, if they were able to comment, I think, do a public comment, I think you'd see more people that are interested in the subject to sign on and comment.
Okay.
My feeling is that having gone through the COVID period, it's clear that there are people who would like to participate in town board meetings and to comment who, for one reason or another, either may not be physically able to come to town hall, or who have reasons not to be able to come down to town hall. I think anything we can do to increase the participation of people in the town in our work would be desirable. And I've been hesitant to go down this road because I want to make sure we were not investing in some technology that was going to be immediately redundant. And I think that this sounds like it serves a purpose, and I think it will work for us for as long as, I think for a long time.
And this is something too that could be not just used by the town board, but let's say the planning board has a meeting and two of their, they could put the device right here and meet around the table. If someone wants to sign in virtually, they can participate in the meeting from their home if they can't make it to the to town hall.
Other groups could use it. It would be, I think it would be very helpful. So my feeling is that this is something that is worth investing in, and we're investing in our ability to communicate and to make our meetings more accessible.
And I will say too, just the equipment we do have, like the camera, the tripod, we have a town computer, a laptop, was at no cost to the town. That was all through funds from Optimum. And so this would be the first expenditure on equipment.
So I'm comfortable that we have funds in the town's budget that we can use for this purpose. So I would, you want a motion to approve us to move forward?
Yeah, sure, yeah. That'd be great.
I would entertain a motion to approve with moving forward to purchase a Meeting Owl Pro video conference camera.
So moved.
Motion by Griff,
Second.
second by Lannon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, John. I think this will be good for us. The next item is we've been asked to pass a resolution declaring April as Parkinson's Disease Awareness Month. This is something that we have done in previous years. I know that there are a number of members of our community who are struggling with Parkinson's disease. It's a very tough thing, and I think is entirely appropriate for us to pass a resolution declaring April as Parkinson's Awareness Month. With that, I'd entertain a motion. I think did they send us a full resolution? I think they did.
Oh, I have
And it's
it.
been sent to the board?
Yes.
Yeah. So I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution declaring April as Parkinson's Awareness Month.
So moved.
Second.
Do a roll call.
Could we do a roll call?
Supervisor Cannon,
Aye.
Councilman Fidele,
Aye.
Councilman Midwood,
Aye.
Councilwoman Morrison,
Aye.
Councilman Cooper.
Aye.
Thank you. The next item is we have received a proposal for insurance from NYMER for the town commencing March 15th. This has been sent to the board. The insurance proposal includes a 4% increase for the year going forward. We have money in our budget to accommodate that increase, and I think this is a very acceptable increase in our insurance. There were no unusual items that were discussed by our insurance company in this, and I would welcome any questions about it, but if there are none, I would also welcome a motion to approve the proposal for insurance.
So, work in the insurance industry, and a 4% increase is a pretty standard inflation increase. So with that said, I would make a motion to approve the accepting the quote.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion, or otherwise, I would ask for a motion to approve. We'll do it by roll call.
Supervisor Kennen?
Aye.
Councilman Fidelli?
Aye.
Councilman Midwood?
Aye.
Councilwoman Morrison?
Aye.
Councilman Cooper?
Thank you. Minutes of town board meetings of February 10th, 2022 and February 28th, 2022 have been sent to the board. Are there any comments about any of the minutes which have been sent to you? If there are none, I would entertain a motion to approve those two sets of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. We come to our public comment period. We have, Sam, do you have anything for tonight?
Oh, sure. Just briefly, with the arrival of, or the potential of getting this mini grant, and with the potential of the village getting some money as well to focus on housing and the comprehensive plan and the relationship to zoning, I would like to get, first of all, a representative to be involved in our exercise with our working group. And I know a number of people in the town, Griff on the town board and Chris, and also now people on the village board who are involved. And both of you will be sort of administering a grant to provide more information about the matchup between, or the interaction between zoning and the comprehensive plan. And we've been doing an awful lot of research with our committee on the relationship of those two, the zoning and the comp plan. And I would like to be able to inform you. I don't know how many people have read from cover to cover both volumes of the comprehensive plan, but there's an awful lot of stuff in there that can be matched with going forward and improving our community quality of life, jobs, as well as housing. And a lot of that I've collected on a couple of pages and cited the location in the comprehensive plan and how that's relevant to zoning. And with the anticipation of having more professional advice and a steering committee in the town, and also something similar in the village, I would like to be able to provide that information to the board, and I can send it to you by email, and so that it could be available before we are awarded in either one of these. But it's knowledge that should be shared. And just in light of that, as Chris knows and Griff knows, we've just completed a 3-session job with the Regional Plan Association with training sessions to introduce how to get ambassadors around the town informed and then able to spread the word as to what our options are in terms of housing and in terms of how that relates to equality, and affordability and jobs and the future of the town. So all of these things are kind of in the works now in our group, but we would like to make it public, and we'd like to have it come out both for the town board and the village board, but also for their edification in order to pass it on, either through the ambassadors or through other means. So that's really something I would like to take charge of in terms of offering this to you, and then getting as much feedback as we can from the public, because this is the time to be aware. And then related to that, and I don't know, there has been, we had a meeting a couple of nights ago of our working group, and Matt Herzog was there and asked about the budget, the housing budget, the governor's budget for next year. And I don't know, Chris, if you're familiar with what's being asked for this year for housing. But there are elements in the budget. There's like, I think it's $25 billion for 3 years for housing, and I don't know where that is. There's some money for ADUs, which is being contested, and also for transit-oriented development, which would be the Wassaic location of the DDSO. So those are all live, and we need to know how to address that with our local legislators, Dee Barrett, for example, and Sue Serino. And I was hoping that we could get some kind of a letter of support or encouragement to them from the town board and from the village in order to boost that along. And Matt said that nothing has come across his desk, sort of scolding us for not doing it. But I think now is the time to do it because it's in the hands of the Senate and the House, the local state. So I would hope that some kind of thing could be signed and sent up as soon as possible. I don't know what the schedule is, but I do believe it's in it. So those are the two items.
Okay. Thank you. Certainly, if there's money coming out of Albany that is directed towards a particular purpose that we can use for housing, we should not leave it to others to raise their hands and not have our hand raised. So I will work with the village and with Matt to communicate with our legislators.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Any letters, personal letters to the legislators, to any of you that think this is a good cause, that can be done too, directly to Dee, and load Matt up with the copies of it, because he doesn't think we're paying enough attention.
Well, hopefully Matt can provide us with some information about what it is that we're asking for. Because right now, I don't feel, other than saying, we hear there's some housing money available.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so it needs to be more specific than that.
Yeah, Meg is aware of it more than I am, but those three that I mentioned are ones that are actively being discussed. And
Yeah.
actually, the governor would mention it in many of her presentations over the last couple of months.
Good.
So
All right.
it's available.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Now we're on to supervisor's report. Budget adjustment, there's no budget adjustment for this month. We have a special abstract dated February 23rd, 2022, totaling $435.97, broken down as follows. A fund, $435.97. Could I have a motion to accept the special abstract?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And I have an abstract dated March 10th, 2022, totaling $205,877.24, broken down as follows. A fund, $49,279.39. B fund, $101,661.91. DB fund, $54,109.85. T and A to escrow, $577.50. Payroll T and A, $248.59. Could I have a motion to accept the abstract?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ralph, seconded by Griff. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is carried. Thank you. And let's see whether, yeah, these need to be passed around and signed. We'll send one direction and one in the other. Nope, just the one. Nope, it's here. voucher committee for April is Lana Morrison and John Midwood. And with that, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of reviewing potential litigation with our assessor.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by John Midwood, seconded by Lana. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, as soon as we finish signing these things, we will go into executive session.